Ah, monsieur, bonjour. Comment ça va? You reckon your good friend Marcel can get a wee cheeky bone from you? Sure, Marcel, here. Wait a second, is a bone even good for you? Oh, the bone is the most nutritious food that has ever been in existence. I will promise you, I will show you the evidence that will show you that the bone is the most nutritious food ever. I am sleeping at the thought of consuming this nutritious food. Do believe me here, have a look at this study. Let's see. Seems to be legit. Okay, Marcel, here you go. Enjoy your bone. Ah, the bone, so tasty. I mean, so nutritious. I'm doing this for the muscle building. It's so good for me. How about you just leave me be so I can enjoy my bone now? Just hold up there 1 second, Marcel. There's something that looks a bit odd here. Let me just scroll down and read the whole thing. Wait a second. You wrote this study, Marcel, and funded by the Dogs Who Deserve More Bones organization. Do you have anything to do with this organization, Marcel? No, not at all, monsieur. This must be some other Marcel lol. Did you just wink at me? No, nothing to see here. Nothing at all. Don't you have some video or something to make like that? Why don't you move to that, huh? Au revoir. That cheeky little shit trying to manipulate me with his studies. Anyway, this just happens to be a good segue to today's topic, which is be skeptical of nutritional advice no matter who you get it from, because sometimes even the people closest to you will try and deceive you in order to justify what they're eating. So the first reason to be skeptical of nutritional advice is the fact that nutrition science as a field in and of itself is not that well developed. Now, what I mean by that is the way nutritional studies are conducted is often problematic, and that means you can't just take the information you get from nutritional studies at face value. So most of the nutritional studies that you get your information from will be epidemiological or observational studies. These often fail to establish causal relationships. So let me give you an example of the ideal nutrition study. So ideally you'd have a randomized control study, which is the strongest form of study in the field of nutrition science. And it basically is that you get a group of people and you divide them completely at random so that there are no innate factors that are, producing the variance in both groups. So you divide them at random, and you give one group one kind of food and you give the other group the other kind of food, and then you measure whatever you're trying to measure. So say the prevalence of a disease or some specific nutritional benefit that's gained from a certain food. And ideally for a really strong causal effect, you'd want as many people as you could possibly get. I mean, like, if you want a strong study, you could easily go north of 10,000 people. And what you have to do is put these people in a controlled environment where you control what they eat, you control what they're doing. Obviously, this is problematic. It's nearly impossible to get 10 people to do what you want. And ideally, you'd also want to do this for a long period of time so that you can get an understanding of what the long-term effects of that food are. So you can't just go and say, okay, fine, do it for a week and we'll see what happens. You have to see what the long-term effect of eating a certain way has on the person's body. Now, this is obviously impossible. So what do nutritionists rely on? They rely on epidemiological studies, and which are mostly observational in nature. So what happens in these situations is they'll just get people and give them a questionnaire and say, okay, are you eating this kind of food or are you not eating this kind of food? And then take health measures and be like, okay, this group is eating this kind of food and they're healthier, so yeah, eating this way is better. But that's not necessarily the case, because it misses a lot of external factors. So these kinds of studies rely on correlations, and we know that correlation does not necessarily mean causation. So it's not that these studies don't have any value. A rigorous epidemiological study is important in establishing correlations that may later on go on to be proven in some other way as causative facts. However, when we extract information from these studies, we have to be wary because, first of all, again, as I said, it's a correlation, so it's a mere correlation. That's not a fact, and you can't just take, okay, just because there's this relation means this is true. And second, often these studies are not as rigorous as they need to be because you have the experimenter's bias, or you have biases that seep through because these studies are often funded by large corporations that have vested interests in them. Marcel? So yeah, you have to be careful when taking information from these. The second reason why you should be skeptical of nutritional advice is because of the way that kind of advice is portrayed to you. So think about where you get a lot of your nutritional advice from. You get it mostly from newspaper articles or some kind of online blog or your favorite bodybuilding site or something like that. Now, a lot of times what happens is that the information, even though it might be accurate, like we discussed the issue with the science in the first place, but say something from that is accurate, the way it's represented to the public is often overstated. So for example, consider the green tea fad of how all the articles came out that, oh, have a cup of green tea after a meal and you'll get a flat tummy. However, it doesn't explain to you at all why or what is happening. So the only possible thing I could think of is that the caffeine in the green tea might cause some added burning of calories, but it doesn't mean that drinking green tea after having a cheeseburger is just gonna wipe away your sins. It's not as simple as that. To say green tea will give you a flat stomach is just a reductionist argument, and we as a public love such simplistic answers because it's like, oh, I can eat what I want and I'll just have a cup of green tea after it and it'll make it okay. And that's not how it works. You have to take this information with a pinch of salt. You have to question, what is it that I'm gaining from this green tea? Is it the added calorie burn from the caffeine? What is the impact of the antioxidants in the green tea? And then take those benefits and not just think it's this fix-all solution. The third reason to be skeptical of nutritional advice is the fact that everybody is different. Now, everybody's bodies, everybody's lifestyles, everybody's genetics, everybody's external environment is different. So the way anyone is going to respond to a particular kind of food is different. For example, some of us may have allergies to food that we might not be aware of. So say I'm allergic to gluten, I'm allergic to lactose, and I could be consuming these for years and I wouldn't be able to tell what's causing it. So I'll just have symptoms like mild bloating or just feeling low on energy. And the way that the issues with like my allergies might manifest themselves might be so subtle that I can't immediately tell. Like, of course, you have the lactose bombers who you give them a drop of milk and they'll launch themselves to the moon through their butts. But oftentimes these allergies are quite subtle, so you won't even notice that they're happening. So how should you look at nutritional advice? How can you be skeptical of advice you receive, yet figure out what you should and should not eat? So you have to start off with the basic principle. Always take nutritional advice with a pinch of salt. That means you get nutritional advice wherever you see it. Make sure you ask further questions. If you see it on a blog, do your own research. If your trainer is telling you, ask him or her more questions. Why are you giving me this food? Exactly what benefit is it providing me? If they can't give you a precise answer, you need to start considering your own, first of all, you consider your own research, or you need to start considering maybe I need a better source of information than this blog or this individual, because it's likely that they're also just scanning over broadly stated claims about health and fitness and just passing it on to you. You want someone who knows what they're talking about, who knows the detail, and to be able to provide you that detail in a simplified form so that you can understand it. So how I organize my nutrition is that I try and stick to broad basic principles of eating healthy. So I try and eat a large variety of fruits and vegetables. I eat moderate protein. I try and stick to leaner sources, but it's not that I'm only eating leaner sources. And what I do is I constantly tweak my diet and experiment with it. So I'll drop milk for a week and see how my body feels. I'll drop gluten for a week and see how my body feels. Or I'll add something to my diet, or I'll start eating more fat and see how I'm doing. And the things that you should use to measure whether a diet is working for you is these three basic principles. And that is how you feel, how you're performing, and how you're looking.
And how you prioritize these will also depend on your goals, but I would say you follow it in that order, because when it comes to food, the number one thing is, like, are you feeling more energetic? And by feel, I don't mean do I enjoy the feeling of putting this food in my mouth. I'm talking about how I feel in general life. Like, do I have more energy? Do I feel better? Am I happier? I mean, food affects all these things. If you're eating right, it can reduce inflammation in your body, that can improve your mood, improve gut microbiome is found to be associated with mental function, so you could probably be smarter if you're eating better. And the next one is performance. Now, this is obviously an objective measure. You can see your performance at the gym, you can see your performance in your sport. Are you improving the way you want? Are you improving the way you should? Are you deteriorating? Is your performance going down? Then that's a serious time to maybe consider a larger change in what you're eating. And the final one is, of course, looks, and that comes down to people who want to, look a particular way, and then you start considering extra stuff in your diet, as in how many calories you should be eating, and see whether your body's progressing in the way that you want it to. So yeah, I realize that this is not like a this is what you should eat nutrition video, but what I was hoping to achieve with this was to more like equip you to question nutritional information better. And in the future, when I put out videos on, say, what I eat or what I think you should eat, I hope that you'll apply the same level of skepticism towards me as you would to any piece of nutritional advice. So yeah, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it's motivated you to be more skeptical of information that you receive. And if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and follow me on my Instagram page at The Fit Skeptic. And thank you for watching.